blog Melly Sews and designer behind Blank Slate Patterns. Today we're going to be sewing a drool bib for a baby. My materials for this, I'm using some of this matte vinyl fusible stuff because the goal of a drool bib is to keep the baby dry. So we want to make sure that it's both absorbent and that it has a water repellent layer on the back so that the drool doesn't soak right through the bib and onto the baby. In addition to that, I've got my front and my back bib pieces cut out, and for the absorbency, I've got 2 layers of flannel cut out for the middle. To start, we're going to take what I want the back of the bib, and we're going to fuse some of the vinyl to it. Now there are instructions on the package for this, but basically what you're going to do is peel off the vinyl, which I've cut into the same shape as the bib. You're going to peel the vinyl off of its backing. And then you're simply going to place it on your fabric with the sticky side down, lining up the edges. And then you'll use your iron set on a hot setting but without steam to iron on the wrong side of this and make sure that the vinyl fuses to the bib. Be really careful not to touch the edges of the vinyl, or the actual vinyl, just the fabric. Once you've finished ironing the vinyl, you're going to let that cool a bit, and then once it does, as you can see, this is sort of shiny. And that is a water-resistant layer that'll help make sure that the drool doesn't soak through the bib and onto the baby. Next, we're going to assemble our layers. So I am going to take the front side of the bib. I'm going to place it right side up. I'm going to add the back side of the bib. I'm placing these right sides together. And then I'm going to put my 2 pieces of flannel. Once I have these all stacked together, I'm not going to pin because I'm using vinyl. I am going to make sure that I've smoothed them out. If you're really worried about fabric shifting, you can use wonder clips or binder clips to hold the edges, but you don't want to pin because of that vinyl. And once I've got them all lined up, I'm just going to start sewing around the edges. I will be sewing all the way around. I'm going to leave a hole in the bottom of the bib here for turning, and then continue to sew all the way around until I get back to where I started. Now, the trickiest layer with this is actually the piece that is going on the front side of the bib. That's the one that's most prone to shifting because, again, it's right against that vinyl edge. So, just going to line my fabric up here. I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to go slowly so that without pins I can hold my fabric together and I can make sure that I'm sewing around these curves. As you finish your way around, you're going to want to overlap your stitching from the beginning by about 1 inch, and then go ahead and cut your thread. The next thing we need to do is we need to clip the curves for this bib. And what that means is that everywhere there's a sharp curve, we want to remove some of the extra fabric here to make sure that when we turn this bib right side out, that it doesn't have bulky, bunchy edges. So you're just going to go and remove triangle-shaped pieces of fabric, cutting through all 4 layers and getting the point of the triangle really close to the stitching, but making sure that you didn't cut all the way through it. And continue doing that all the way around the bib. Once we've clipped around all the curves, it's time to turn the bib right side out. So I'm going to put my hand through that opening that I left at the bottom, and I want the flannel to end up in the middle with the vinyl backed fabric on one side and the pretty fabric I chose for the front on the other. If you do need help turning, because hands and fingers just aren't cutting it, this tool is called a point turner. They're made out of plastic or bamboo, and they have nice rounded edges that are also flat that you can use to help with things like bib straps. Okay, I've got my bib turned, but it is quite wrinkly now, and I do have a hole in the bottom that I use to turn it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make sure that I've got my big fabric side up, and I'm going to go ahead and press it. Do not press on the vinyl backed side. As I'm pressing, I'm also going to make sure that I turn the fabric in at the turning hole, that I turn those pieces of fabric in toward each other. That way, when I top stitch the bib on the next step, that hole will get closed. And now I'm going to be top stitching around the edges of my bib. So I'm going to place the bib in my machine, and I want to start a little bit before the hole that I'm closing up. And then I'm just going to stitch, making sure those fabric edges are folded in toward each other. And as you come back around the bib towards where you started, just make sure to overlap your top stitching by about 1 inch or so. And go ahead and cut your thread. And the final step for this is going to be adding Velcro so that we can secure the bib onto the baby. Now when you buy Velcro, you want to make sure that you get the sew-on kind. Don't get any adhesive Velcro. All that's going to do is make a mess and make your machine all sticky. It'll gum up your needle if you try to sew it. So I have a little piece here of sew-on Velcro, and I'm just going to separate the pieces, and then I'm going to sew one piece onto each edge. I like to put the hook part on the part that won't be, or sorry, on the right side. So just place it on your bib, and you're going to sew right around the edges of the Velcro, turning at each corner. And at the final corner, make sure to go ahead and stitch that side just once more. That'll help keep the Velcro really nice and securely on there. Trim off any threads. And then repeat that process with the other side, the loop side. Make sure you're putting that on the wrong side of the bib. This is the vinyl side. Once again, trim your threads. And then you've got your bib. The Velcro will keep it on the baby. The vinyl side will keep it dry. The flannel in the middle will help absorb. And then the top side's just cute.